Good evening, everyone. Welcome to day 11 of our Salesforce training. And today we are going to learn about data and analytics management in Salesforce. This is the first session of our Becoming a Salesforce Administrator, meaning that everything we've done in previous times, we have learned about the Salesforce org. Okay, we know what Salesforce can do. We know how to create profiles, how to create users, how to move around the Salesforce org. We've also learned about how to use some of the Salesforce standard objects, such as cases, opportunities, leads, and the likes. Now, we want to start learning about what you will be doing as a typical Salesforce admin on a daily basis. Okay, I've emphasized previously that as a Salesforce admin, what you are most likely going to be doing is creating users and updating profiles. However, there will be some other things that would look like a project. A project as a Salesforce admin is simply just importing old data into the system, updating bulk of data into the system. So this knowledge of data and analytics management, such as reporting, would help you. Can you please mute if you're not speaking? Mute if you're not speaking. Please don't interrupt the class, because this video is, this class is being recorded and it's not fair on others that would be using this video. Please just mute. Thank you. So now that we have, you've already disoriented me right now, but anyways, let's carry on. As expected, this is according to Salesforce curriculum guide. This was found on Salesforce exam guide for admin. If you want to find out what you need in order to get certified in Salesforce, this is where you go. Salesforce, you go to trailer.salesforce.com, you go to credentials, then administrator. You can find the exam guide for Salesforce admin. And for what we're doing today, according to Salesforce, this is what we need to learn, okay? So everything I'm getting is from the official website. So I've streamlined it down into some key points, such as importing, updating, transferring, mass deleting, exporting, and backing up of data. As an admin, this is one of the things you would be required to do at work, besides the fact that you have to create a user and you have to update a profile. You will be required to import large data. You will be required to understand the capabilities and the implications of data validation tools. What are data validation tools? You know, when you create a new record, we did something like validation rules in our project. And yesterday, I think I touched base on validation rules. So validation rules are just to make sure data comes in clean in your Salesforce org. So you want to know the implication of having validation rules set in your Salesforce when you are uploading or mass uploading data. You also want to find out the implication of reports, sharing model on reports. For instance, if you don't have access to a record, when you generate a report, will the person that is viewing that report have access to that record? We're going to find out, okay? When creating dashboard are just aggregation of data from a report. Now, when you aggregate data, who gets to see that data? What are the implications of opening up a data that was previously hidden based on your sharing rule? We get to see that using during these lessons, okay? So now, to make things easier, I like to work with bullet points. And these are the things I hope we can learn during this process, okay? We want to differentiate between data import wizard and data loader. What is data import wizard anyway? What is data loader? We want to find out. In addition to that, we want to find out the steps. If you want to upload data into Salesforce, What are the steps you need to take? How do you clean up the data? How do you identify who owns this data? What is a Salesforce ID? We want to find out what and how to mass delete data. If you look at your Salesforce org, there is no option to automatically delete bulk of data. How would you do that? Okay, we want to find out. So without wasting much of your time, I'm going to go into the Salesforce org, launch my Salesforce org, and show you how to do one or two things, okay? So now, introduction. Let's just say we have the Salesforce org, and we have been asked to update the account record, okay? So we have these account records, and our manager asked us to filter all billing states and ensure that any billing state that is New York to be updated from NY to New York. Or it could just be all high value customer. We want to create a new field, and we want to say the field is high value, something like that. So you need to do it in a mass operation. You cannot do it one by one because it's going to take your time. What if you have 1,000 records? Are you going to start going in one by one to update that record? Because there's no way to do it in a mass action. You need to know how to use Data Import Wizard. So what is Data Import Wizard? Data Import Wizard is a simple tool used by Salesforce admin to import data into the system, okay? Data can be imported into Salesforce using Data Import Wizard. So how do you get to Data Import Wizard? You go to Setup, and you go to the Quick Find. You type in Data Import Wizard. So why is Salesforce recommending Data Import Wizard for you? Data Import Wizard is just a simple tool that is inbuilt within Salesforce, meaning that you don't have to do anything else. As long as you have access to Setup, you can launch Data Import Wizard. You can use it to import, you can use it to update, and you can use it to create new data into Salesforce, okay? There is also another tool which can be used to import data into Salesforce, and that tool is called the Data Loader. What is the Data Loader, and why is it different from Data Import Wizard? The Data Loader is an application that you have to download on your computer. And the Data Import Wizard is something that is within Salesforce. Over the next few hours, I will explain to you the differences between the Data Import Wizard and the Data Loader. But let's go into what Data Import Wizard is all about. Data Import Wizard can help you upload data into Salesforce using this launch wizard. As you can see, the first thing you have to do is make sure you have your data. If you don't have your data, how would you get that data into Salesforce? You need to have your data, okay? That's the first thing you need to do. Then the next thing is you map this data. Okay, you map this data. What does it mean to map a data field? By mapping a data field, you're essentially trying to tell Salesforce that in this Excel sheet or in this CSV file that I have on my computer, the client name equals to the account name. The billing state equals to this row, this column. The phone equals to this column. That's what it means to map field, edit field mapping. But we're going to go through that shortly. So if you want to import data, you click on the Launch Wizard, which is a tool that is within Salesforce. Remember this, Data Import Wizard and Data Loader. Right now, we're talking about Data Import Wizard. So as you can see, it says you can import up to 5,000 records at a time. Data Import Wizard can be accessed from the setup. And it can help you import a limited number of standard objects. Remember this. You cannot use data import wizard to load any data into any objects. You can, any standard objects. You can only use it to import data into account and contact standard objects, the lead standard objects, the solution standard objects, and the campaign members standard objects. Remember, this is an exam question. They will ask you, what kind of objects can you load data into using the data import wizard? The data import wizard can be used to upload up to 50,000 records into the following standard objects: accounts and contacts, leads, solutions, and campaign members. However, for custom objects, you can load data into any custom objects you've created using the data import wizard. Okay? You can load any data into a custom object using the data import wizard. The only restriction is the 50,000 records at a time. Okay? So have that at the back of your mind. So you select the object of interest, and you'll be faced with three options. The first option is you want to select if you're uploading a new record into the system. The second option is to select updating a record or an existing record in the system, in the object. By system, I mean objects. Okay? And the third option is updating as well as creating a new record into the system. Okay? So now you have three options. If this record does not exist in the system previously, then you select this option. And once you select this option, it's going to ask you, do you want to match contacts? For instance, if you have duplicates within the record you're updating, do you want to match them by name or email? You get to select that. Do you want to match them by name, the account by name and site? You get to select that. But one thing you should notice or observe is this. You have the option not to trigger workflow rules and processes. I know we haven't done workflow rules and processes, but you have that option. What are workflow rules? Workflow rules are the background processes you've put into place. They are automation that you put into place. So when you're creating a record in the account object, for instance, you can determine some background processes to happen.
Yeah, no, okay. The vessel.
Joseph, can you mute, please? You can determine some background processes that would happen, okay? But if you're using data import wizard, you have the liberty not to trigger those workflow rules. You have the liberty not to trigger the workflow rules, okay? And you can also select a record type for that data if you have record type created. If you don't have record type created, you wouldn't get this option. But if you have it created, you can get to select the record type for that record. So what does it mean to clean up a data? Cleaning up data means separating your data based on record type. It could just be separating your data based on record type, because you get to decide what record type that this data belongs to, okay? And obviously, you get to assign all contacts to campaign. You have the option. It's not mandatory. You have the option. Now, this is for adding new record. For updating an existing record, you have almost the same stuff. However, one thing, your CSV, which you're going to be selecting in the next phase, is you must have a Salesforce ID. Think about Salesforce ID as a primary key. Think about Salesforce ID as a primary key. If you work with SQL, you need to identify a record. So let me go back to the front end. When you create a new record, let's say I'm creating a new premium account, and I'm going to say premium, just say Exxon. Okay, we've been using ExxonMobil. Let's use Shell. So we're creating a Shell, and we know that Shell is a premium account, okay? And we call Shell a premium account, we save. So when we create a new record, something happens within Salesforce. And what happens is a record is created, and this record is owned by whoever is creating the record. Alternatively, according to what we've learned in the past, if it has assignment rules in place, the assignment rules can kick in, and the assignment rule will determine who owns that record. However, if we don't have assignment rules in place, the person creating that record would own the record. That's the first thing. A record is assigned to a user in the system. Other thing that happens is a record ID is associated to the record. This record ID is used to identify the record. So it is a 15 or 18 digit character that identifies the record. So if I copy this ID, for instance, and I go back to the accounts objects, okay, and I just go and type my record ID. Can you see? After the /account, I type in the record ID and I press enter. Okay, but I need to put view at the back of it. Sorry. If I'm in the account object, I go to account, okay? So just look at the format, lightning arrow /account, go back, lightning, not list, r/account. Then I put the record ID at the back of it, okay? It's gonna give me the record I created. So the ID is what you're using to identify that record. It's very important you know the impact of that ID. Every record ID, every record has a record ID. Alternatively to record ID is called the Salesforce ID. The Salesforce ID is what you use to identify a particular record. Having said that, when you're updating an existing record, you need to specify the Salesforce ID. It's not mandatory. You can specify based on name and site, but obviously the record ID is one of the key criteria to update an existing record. So when I ask you to update a record in your project, you need to specify the record ID. I will show you how to get the record ID, okay? I will show you how to get the record ID. So now that you've specified that, you now need to select the CSV file. You can only update a CSV file. You can only update a CSV file, not Excel, not JSON, not whatever file it is. It has to be a CSV file. So when you have your legacy system and your manager has instructed you to upload this into the system, then you need to ensure that you can export that database as a CSV before you can bring it into the system. This is what you're going to do 100% of the time as a Salesforce admin. You'll be asked to mass update data, and you have to follow this process. The first thing you want to find out is this a standard object or a custom object? If it's a custom object, you want to find out, okay, I can upload any custom object, but I need to find out, is it 50,000 or less than 50,000? If it's less than 50,000, then I can use Data Import Wizard. But if it is more than 50,000, then I want to use Data Loader. Now, I've explained data import wizard. Let me go to data loader. What is data loader? I entered you the last time that a data loader is an application you have to download on your computer. So if you go to data loader, in the quick find, you will see data loader option. And once you click on data loader, you will be given options to download data loader on your computer. You can download for Windows and you can download for Mac. Okay, you can download for Windows and you can download for Mac. And there are instructions on how to install it. I wouldn't go through this with you because I already have it on my system, but please try to download it for your project. Okay, so now that we have the data loader, why do we need data loader? What is the use case for data loader? Number one, the use case of data loader is you can upload more than 50,000 records. You can upload up to 5 million records at once. There is a batch process behind the scene that automatically puts your record into bulk and batches. So you don't see how Salesforce optimized that process. But I think Salesforce loads it 10,000 at a time. But you don't need to worry about how Salesforce solves that 5 million records or how Salesforce upload that 5 million records behind the scene. All you just need to know is the right tool to do the right job. You have 50,000 records, use data import wizard. You have 5 million records or more than 5 million records, split them down into 5 million and use data import wizard. So a data loader, sorry. So what you need to consider is this. Data import wizard can be used by a user, okay? Can be used by a user that has access to data import wizard. So how do you set it up? You go to the profile of that user and give them access to import data, okay? They can import data and the admin can also import data. But for data loader, only the admin can import data. Understand this. Only the admin, only the Salesforce admin can use data loader.
So can I say that again, please?
Only the Salesforce admin can use data loader. But for data import wizard, anyone that have access to import data can just type data import wizard if their profile permits that, and they can use data import wizard. So data import wizard is available from the setup, but data loader, you have to download. Okay? You have to download data loader to use data loader. But for data import wizard, go to setup and you can use data import wizard. Number 3, importing data using data import wizard is limited to 50,000 records. And importing data using data loader is limited to 5 million records. Okay, so when they ask you those questions, when you're at work, when you're acting as a consultant, you will be faced with this kind of question. And you already know that, oh, you can do this using the data import, you can do this using data loader. Know the right tool for the job. You will be asked every time. Number 4 is when you're uploading new data, you have the option to do what? Trigger workflow rules. When you're using data import wizard, you have the option to say, I want to enable validation rules. I want to trigger the workflow rules. I want to do the background process that is required whenever a record matches a criteria. Whereas for data loader, you do not have that option. It will fire. Okay? Data loader, you don't have that option to select, I want to trigger or not. It will fire. So what you need to do as a Salesforce admin is you want to ask business, I'm uploading 5 million data into the system. I have some background processes that could fire as a result of a criteria matching the data I'm importing into the system. What should we do? The business will decide whether to make sure it fires or to not fire. Because you're using data loader, you don't have this option. So what you need to do is you need to go to whatever rules you've created. For instance, assignment rules. You go to whatever rules you've created, let's say assignment rules, new lead assignment. And what do? You take it off. You deactivate that rule so it doesn't fire. But if you're using data import wizard, you have that option of not even going to deactivate. All you just need to do is select to either trigger or not trigger. Okay, remember this. It's an exam question and it will help you. Number 3 or number 5, you have limited objects you can upload for standard. You can upload accounts and contacts, leads, solutions, and campaign members. For data loader, you can upload any object, custom, standard, or anything. Remember this, custom, standard, or any object, you can use data loader. For data import wizard, you have limited objects you can upload into. For data import wizard, you can map a field, which I'm going to show you shortly. You can map a field. I'm going to show you how to map a field once we get into our example. But for data loader, you don't have that option. You have to create that option to detect a duplicate in the system. And lastly, for data import wizard, you can add new, update an existing, or add new and update an existing record. This is what they call inserting a record. This is what they call updating a record. And this is what they call upserting. That's UPSERT. Insert and updating. They call it upsert. Okay? On the other side, data loader, you can do insert, which is adding new record. You can do update, which is updating new record, updating an existing record. You can also do upsert, which is adding new record, updating an existing record, as well as exporting records. Think about it. You have this account object. How do you get all this data into a CSV or an Excel file? You have to create a report and do that. But with data loader, you can export this object and the data inside it. You can upsert and you can do what they call add delete. What do I mean by that? Add delete is when you delete a record and it goes off the Salesforce platform. By default, when you delete a record, for instance, I'm going to delete this record. It asks me if I want to delete this record. When I delete this record, okay, it's telling me that I have an association. So let me go to a record I just created that has no association, okay? I think this is probably a record I created. It has no association. So I'm just going to delete this record. It asked me if I want to delete this record. I said yes. Now the record has been deleted. When I delete a record, it doesn't get deleted completely. When you delete a record in Salesforce, it does not get deleted completely. It goes to what they call a recycle bin, just like your computer. Just like your computer, it goes to a recycle bin. How do you get to recycle bin? You type in the recycle bin, you click on it, and all the records you delete is here. Then you have the option to do what? Delete or restore. You have the option to delete or restore. When you restore, the record goes back into the account object or wherever it is coming from. When you restore, it goes back to the object that it's coming from. When you delete, it deletes permanently. So when I was talking about add delete, I mean add delete means it deletes permanently based on deleting the record. It doesn't go into recycle bin. Okay? Data loader gives you that facility. But for data import, you don't get that facility, okay? You don't get the option to delete a record. You can add new, update, and add new and update an existing record. So now let's do a very quick example. I want to go to the account objects, and I want to create a bulk of account record. How do I do that? The first thing I need to do is probably just go to create my CSV. I need to create my CSV file. How do I create my CSV file? I obviously open an Excel sheet and create my CSV file, but this is not how you would create the record to import into the system. Most likely, you have a spreadsheet in place already, okay? So you want to ensure that the fields of interest is matching the columns in your spreadsheet. For instance, I have what they call the annual revenue. And I'll just put the annual revenue here. I'll put the account name here. I'll put whatever fields I want to load, I have to put them here, okay? So again, you can see that I'm using label. I'm not using field name. You have the liberty to use label or field name because there is a process called mapping. You know, I told you about field mapping. That's an additional process you need to use, okay? So now I'll just, I don't need to do much. I'll just upload rating, which is a pick list. Okay, now I want to import this. I'm just going to call this Shell 2, Exxon Mobil 2, RBC 2, and maybe CIBC 2. Okay, so now I have that, and I say this annual revenue is 100, 120, 400, and 500. Okay, client number, I'll just call it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 4, 5. Okay, all this stuff is just data you want to bring into the system. So it's up to you to decide what data you want to bring. Again, this is going to be a business requirement. You don't create this requirement out of the blue. You need to listen to the business. Rating is a pick list. As you can see, rating is a pick list. So you cannot just import data into the pick list. You have to decide whether this pick list is a restrictive pick list or not. What is a restrictive pick list? Let's do a quick example of creating a new pick list. I click on new, and I want to create a restrictive pick list. I select the data type as pick list, and I go to next. I call it restrictive pick list. Okay, then I decide to enter the value 1, value 2, value 3. Okay, then it asks me restrict pick list to the values defined in the value sets. What does this mean? It means anytime a data is being imported into the system, the pick list values that you've given here, the data must match the pick list values you've given here. If it is not matching, it's going to reject that import for that particular role. So if the rating field is restrictive, then this data would not accept any other value you are bringing in to the system. So going back to the rating, we have three options, okay? We have auth warm code. I'm going to select whatever it is I want to put here, auth warm code, and let's put spring, or obviously it's not there, okay? Let's see what happens. Then I'll say account upload, or whatever I want to give the file name. But remember, they would have given you this from the legacy database. Alternatively, they will give you from a spreadsheet of customer, and you want to bring them into the system. You don't have to use Google Doc, but Google Doc just makes perfect sense for us right now. I download as a CSV file. Remember, you can only upload a CSV file. You cannot upload Excel. You cannot upload JSON. You can only upload a CSV file. After that, I go to my data import wizard. But remember, I've only limited it to 4 fields. You can upload as many fields that are present within the account object. You can also upload what I call the account owner ID. I'll show you how to get the owner ID shortly. Yes. So we go to data import wizard and we click on launch wizard. Then I'm selecting account because I'm uploading an account record. I click on add new because I'm uploading new records. Remember, if you want to upload an existing record, you want to update, then you need to have what I refer to as the Salesforce ID, which is the unique ID that identifies the record. I'll show you how to get that automatically, okay? Be patient with me. So now that we have that, I'm going to select match by name if it exists, but I don't think it's going to exist, so I'll just leave it that way. And I'll say all the record types of the data I'm bringing in right now, they are premium customer. I select the CSV file, which is the account update in my download files, okay? Then I click on next. This is the most important bit. The most important bit when you upload record into the system is mapping that record. Remember, I created this field based on the fields that are present in the account objects. Now, I'm being asked to map this field. Automatically, Salesforce maps them for you. However, if you have a field that it's not recognized by Salesforce. For instance, if we have a field in the account object, which is site, client site, okay? Or I can say client source. I'll just say identifier, okay? I call it identifier, okay? Which is, to me, according to the business, is called client source, but I call it identifier. If I have this field and I click on the import, that field will come unmapped because there is nothing like identifier in the account object. There is nothing like that. So the field will not be automatically mapped the way we have it this way. The field will be unmapped, then you have to map that field. So let me quickly re-download this file. as a CSV, okay? Then I go back and upload that file again so we can see the unmapped field, okay? Can you see? This is the unmapped field, meaning that the system says in your CSV editor, you have identifier, but I don't know what identifier is in the account object. So what you need to do is you need to map the field. So based on what I explained earlier, identifier is our account source. So when you click on that map, you will be able to find account source, or you can just type in source. I want to find the account source.
You were checking from the field instead of the label.
Oh, okay, okay. Account source.
If you go back to the setup again on the account object, so we better see it properly.
Okay, client source.
Client source, yeah.
Client source, sorry about that. It's client source because it's checking based on the, so this is client name, source. So where's the source? Source is not coming out.
There's no space. There's no space.
No space.
There's no space.
It's not still there.
Let me see.
But does it have anything to do with the if it's a custom or standard? Because I know at the beginning you selected standard object when you uploaded. I don't know if that has anything.
Yeah, but this is a field. This is a field.
Okay? Oh
yeah,
that's
it's
true.
a field.
That's true.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So,
yeah.
Yeah, let's just map it to site for now, okay? It's not really a big deal, but let's map it to site. But in case you couldn't find this, you have to see what options you have, okay? And you probably would get it. It's just that maybe account source is a pick list and is not recognizing that pick list or something like that, perhaps. But again, you should be able to map all fields, okay? There might be some limitations, but you should be able to map all fields. It's lead source is coming out, but the account source is not coming out. Let's just put something else. But before I give up, let me see if I can.
It's a pick list.
It's a pick list, right?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not coming up. I'll just give it site for now, okay? So we can move on. Site.
You want to refresh
So,
and
I did not just create it, right? So I expect it to come up. It's only when you just created it, you would probably have that issue. But anyways, let's move on. But make sure that you're mapping to the right field, okay? You're mapping to the right field. And after you've done that, you click on Next. This is giving you a warning, okay? It's giving you a warning because Salesforce does not know what this is. Is it a contact name? Is it client name? You have to select that, okay? I want to select account name and I map, okay? So I said that name field in the account object is the account name, not the contact name. So now that I've mapped this correctly, I click on Next, account business type. So it's the reason why it's telling you this is because when you're creating a new account, this field is compulsory. Okay? This field is compulsory. Now it wouldn't let you move on because you haven't mapped the compulsory field. So you need to actually create another field in your Excel sheet and you can map that. So I'll just say premium, or let me see what values it can take. So premium standard, okay? Premium, I think everything is premium. Then let me just put a value there for now. Then I download again. This is what you have to go through when you're preparing data. So when you're preparing data, you just don't upload your raw data. You need to upload a dummy data, a sample data that is working. Then you now start filling all those rows after you've uploaded the sample data, okay? So don't upload the raw data and you start facing all these challenges. So now that I have that, I will go back again and I click on CSV, click on my third new file.
Sorry, Babatope. In this second box at the bottom, it says record type premium accounts. Why doesn't it recognize it in front? Why do we have to?
This is not a record type. This is a business type.
Okay. Yes.
A custom field I created earlier at some point, I think. Okay. So again, we have that identifier as unmapped. Then I click on map and let me see again for the last time. It's still not coming up. Client source is still not coming up. I'm just going to map it.
That's so weird.
Site. Yeah, it's okay. It does happen sometimes. We have that mapped as account name. Okay, everyone is cool with that. Then I go to next. Now it says we have 6 mapped fields, meaning that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mapped fields. All these fields will go into their fields which we've mapped them. So it helps you to eliminate duplicate and unclean data. Then you click on Start Import. When you click on Start Import, there will be a background job that is going behind the scene, meaning that you don't have to wait. You can just navigate out of this and continue doing what you're doing. Think about it, if you're loading 50,000 records, you don't have to wait until those 50,000 records get loaded. You can carry on with whatever you're doing, and at the end, you can come back to see what has happened. So as you can see, it says record processed is 4. Record failed is 0. Status is completed, and you can see the results. So if I open this, you will see that this is successful and the record has been created and there are no errors. And you will see automatically the ID that was generated based on your transaction. Again, if you've loaded like, let's say 50,000 records, you can go back to home and go to data imports jobs. I think bulk imports. I'll just put imports. Yeah. No, jobs. Bulk data load jobs. Okay. Bulk data load jobs will bring you back to that screen. In case you loaded 50,000 records and you couldn't wait until this is being done, you go to bulk data load jobs and you're going to get the same view as you got previously. See the results of your import. If you go to your front end, you will be able to see the data you have just imported into the system. So this is CIBC2, this is ExxonMobil 2, this is RBC2, and this is Shell 2. And as you can see, it maps the identifier as the site, and it maps whatever value we've placed at the annual revenue. This is how you upload massive records into the system. Okay, so now that you have new records into the system, how would you update an existing record? Your manager has asked you to update 1,000 records. Remember, for you to update a record, you need what they call the Salesforce ID. The Salesforce ID, as I explained earlier, is the unique ID that helps you to identify that records. But if you're an admin, how would you be able to get all the IDs? Are you going to, like, what's the difference between updating one after the other and using bulk updates? If you don't know the ID, it's very hard, right? This is where you will go to reports. Reports would help you generate a CSV file that you can use as a template to update in the system. So when you're creating a report, you go to New Report and you select the object which you are interested in. After that, then you will be able to export this report. But before that, you want to do something. I'm going to talk about reports tomorrow, like a whole day on reports, because you will need it at work. Most of you, all you will ever do is generate reports and upload data as your job, full-time job, uploading data and generating reports and building dashboard. That's Salesforce admin job, okay? Now, I have some filters in my report, but I don't want just my account. I want to load all accounts. So I'm taking off that filter. That's number one. Number two, I want to all-time data, meaning that I don't want to limit anything. I want all the accounts data in the system. But this is the first thing you want to do. Remember, the reason why we are even generating a report is because we need the Salesforce ID for those records we want to update. We need a Salesforce ID. So in your report, you need to include the ID as one of the fields that should be shown here. You want the Salesforce ID, not just the account ID. So I'm going to use ID, client ID, because we replace our account as client, okay? Refresh. And this ID automatically appears. This ID is a Salesforce ID. This ID is what this ID is. So now,
Can you do that again, please?
We're going to talk about report tomorrow, but the ID I have just looked for right now is the Salesforce ID. If I close this right now and I go back and I type ID, I select client ID, which is my account object ID, okay? So if you look at, I've replaced all account instance with clients. That's why it's showing clients. Normally, it should be showing account ID, okay? So ID.
No, Babatope, you still have account ID under your account object on that page. At the top, you have account ID, yeah.
This is a different ID. Account ID, like when you're creating account, for instance, you have what they call account ID. Where is it? It's different from the Salesforce ID. This is a Salesforce ID.
Number. Do you have client ID?
Do you have client ID on the page on the accounts objects?
Look at the account. Look at the account ID here. Okay, it's different from the Salesforce ID. The reason why we are having this conflict is because I already renamed my account as client, but this is a field on the account object. Okay, this account is a field on the account object. Okay, and as you can see, it is a custom field I created when doing maybe some work in the previous time on the account object. It's a custom field. It has nothing to do with the official ID generated when you create an account record in the account object. So don't miss that ID. If you go to the lead object, you don't see random lead ID. You will see just Salesforce ID, okay? So having said that, this is how you get the ID of the records you want to export, okay? Remember, I cannot export using the data import wizard. I can only import, I can update, and I can upsert. So the reason why I'm going through this additional step is because I need the ID of all the records I want to update. I need the ID of all the records I want to update. And generating a quick report would give me that ID. This is for your project. Remember this. You will do this in your project. You have two options to get this ID. The first option is to generate a report that would include the ID as part of the columns so you can see it. You run this report and you export this report as a CSV file. Okay? You export this report as a CSV file and you have it. Alternatively, if you don't want to generate a report, I'm going to show you the next phase, which is when we get to the data loader. The data loader, you can export. It is part of the feature of the data loader. Okay? I will show you when we get to the data loader. But right now, we've generated a report and it has the Salesforce ID we are interested in. So right now, what I want to do is I want to update. I want to update the account records. Okay? Instead of CIBC2, I want to say CIBC updated. Instead of RBC2, I want RBC updated. Instead of shell 2, I want a shell updated. And instead of updated, okay, XML2, I want it updated, okay? So remember this. When you're updating records, you need to specify the Salesforce ID. In addition to that, you need to specify the owner. However, if you do not specify the owner, the existing owner would be the owner, obviously. When you're creating a new record, we did not specify the owner. So the person loading the data becomes the owner. But if you want to give someone else the data ownership, then you need to specify the owner ID or the owner name. If you do not know the owner name, you can specify the owner ID. Let me show you how to get the owner ID. You go to Setup. You don't even need to go to Setup. Right from here, you can type in Test User. Test User. And once you click on Test User, you will see this ID. This is the owner ID. So instead of specifying the owner name, you can specify the owner ID. And again, if you want to look for the owner ID, it's a field called owner ID. Okay? It's a field called owner ID, which is a lookup to a user. So you can just specify the ID called owner ID, and Salesforce will know that the person that owns this record you're bringing in is not Babatope Olajide, but is the test user. So you can specify the client owner, or you can specify the owner ID. How do you get the owner ID? You go to the owner, you go to the user, you type in the username in the search box, you get the user, and you just go to the URL to specify the ID. Make sure you copy the 15 or 18-digit character. That's how you specify the owner ID. So now that we have the CSV and I've updated the things I want to update, I will save. Make sure you save your file. If you don't save your file, whatever changes you've made will not be recognized. Okay? Updated accounts, save. So now that I have that, I go back to my data import wizard. Data import wizard. And I click on the launch wizard. And I click on the object of interest. Instead of add new, I'm going to select update existing record. And I want to match by the Salesforce ID. Okay? And I'm saying it is a premium record type. I click on the CSV file and I select the CSV file. Then I click on next. As you can see, everything gets automatically mapped. However, some might not get mapped because Salesforce does not understand what last activity field is, does not understand whether client owner is the same as account owner, does not understand last modified date. You have the option of leaving this as is. If you leave this as is, you might not be able to update because the client ID is not mapped properly. But if you left this as is, that's fine. But for the sake of this lesson, I would like to map the client owner as the owner, okay? So I'm going to call it account record owner, okay? Mapped. And for last activity, I don't need it. Last modified date, I don't need it. For the client ID, I know that I need it, okay? Because without it, I cannot get it mapped. So I'm going to say this is the account Salesforce ID, okay? Mapped. So now that I've mapped the things I'm interested in, I click on Next. Okay, it says you have 6 mapped fields and you have 2 unmapped fields. This is fine. I click on Start Import, the same process. And when it's done, I get to know. So it says 24 record processed, no record failed, and the status is completed. I click on View Results, and I can see what happens. It says success. Created is false. What does this mean? It means that nothing was created. However, it was successful, meaning it was updated. And there are no errors. Okay, I close this. I go back to my hog. I go to the account objects. I go to all accounts and I refresh this. Okay, I think there might be some account name did I map the account name? I did not map the account name, so I need to do that again. So I go back to the data import wizard. Sorry about that. Data import wizard. I wait just 1 minute. Let me open the file just to make sure that we are uploading the right file, okay? This is the right file and this is updated. I export as a CSV, just making sure we touch everything needed. Updated account 2. It needs to be updated, okay? The client name needs to be updated. So I have that. Then I go to my data import wizard. I launch this. Okay, accounts, update existing, map by name, that's a contact. I want to map by the Salesforce ID, update existing account information. I don't think we selected that. Then record types, that's fine. Trigger workflow, that's okay. I go to choose file. I go to account 2. I click on next. Okay. I map the client owner as the owner. Okay. I call it the record owner. That's fine. And I map the client ID as the account ID. Okay. And okay, that's fine. Then I know that's the file that is looking for and is updating the account. Click on next, start import. Okay, the same process we've just done. I just kind of like repeated it, but make sure that I check the account information checkbox. Again, system record fails. We need to find out why that failed shortly, probably because maybe there is nothing to update or some fields are not right. But I click on view results. It says the required business type is missing, okay? So for us to update, we need to have the required business type, which was missing. So I need to include that in my CSV. Okay, but before I even include that, let me see the outcome of the ones that have business type, because I know that previously I had my accounts updated, right? And the ones I created previously had business type, okay? But the existing data might not have the business type. That's because they were default data coming from the system, which is fair, okay? But the ones I recently updated as the business type, that's why it's successful. So what does this tell you? It tells you that anytime you are updating an existing data, you need to make sure that the required fields are present in your CSV file. If the required fields are not present, it will fail. And what Salesforce does is fail and ignore. What does that mean? It means updating a record that requires a particular field. If that field is not present, when updating a record that requires a particular field, if that field is not present, it's going to fail, but it wouldn't stop the next row from being processed. Okay? It will not stop the next row from being processed. That's what it means to update and fail. So now that we have that, you can see that is updated. Now you have another option of updating and creating a new one, meaning that I can use the same file, which is this. It has the client ID, which is fine. What I can do is I can create a new column, okay? And I can give a business type. Just give me 1 minute. Let me look for the business type field on the account object. Okay, business type. And I'll bring this here and I'll just put it as a column, business type. Then I'll call it premium, but I'll try to make it faster. I hope you guys are still with me and I'm not doing something really strange right now. So I have the business type, okay, which is fine. Now I'm going to call this one updated 3. So you know that something is being done, okay? Updated 3, which is just, me trying to differentiate between all this. Updated 3, okay? But now I want to add a new row. Below, I'm adding a new row below, and I'm going to specify the owner as this, and I'm going to say new account name, okay? Another new account name. I don't need to specify the textures. Let me just put those data there for sanity's sake, okay? For sanity's sake, I have that. I'm going to take the last modified dates because obviously I don't need it. I'm going to say no account ID, okay? So no account ID means these are new records. Account ID means these are existing records. So my expectations are this new record needs to be created. The new records needs to be created and the old records needs to be updated. Create or update accounts, okay? Now that I have the CSV file, I follow the same process. I go to Data Import Wizard. Then I have my Launch Wizard. Then I go to Account Objects. I've tried this. Now let's do this. Make sure that you have this selected, okay? Salesforce ID. Make sure that you have the Update Existing Account Information selected. Then make sure you have everything that is needed to make sure the upload is successful. Select the CSV file and you will map. So now I want to map again as the owner. I don't want to map last modified, that's fine. I want to map the business type. Okay. Then I want to map the ID as the ID of the account, which is a Salesforce ID. I'm going to take a pause just to find out you guys are with me and you guys understand what I've just done. I've not done anything different from the previous time. The only thing there is that I'm creating a new record as well as updating an existing record. Okay, I click on Next, and the same process takes place. Start import, and I click OK. So now nothing failed, but it's still on that queue. I'll refresh again. Now it's completed. 26 record process, view results. Okay, view result is just a CSV file that tells you what happened. So as you can see, everything is true, meaning that everything was successful. How many records got created? Only 2 records got created because they do not have a Salesforce ID, whereas others are just false because they had a Salesforce ID, and my assumption is they got updated, okay? So I'm gonna refresh the screen, and I'm gonna go to the all accounts, and you can see updated 3, which is fine. Another new account name, which is fine. This is a new record. This is the updated record. This is how to use data import wizard, okay? I'm going to take just a very 5-minute break to answer the questions you guys are asking before I move to data loader, because data loader is much complicated than this, okay? So 5 minutes to answer questions before we go into data loader, and data loader, we're gonna do more stuff, okay? So I'm gonna start with highly favored.
Thank you, Babatope. When you were talking about the restrictive pick lists, you said you was going to throw out something that is not in the values you have specified. But in this your file, I can still see Spring somewhere. Can you
because rating is not a restrictive pick list. If it were to be a restrictive pick list, then it wouldn't create that record because the pick list is not part of the pick list listed in the pick list field.
Like when you went to, can you go back to it, please? You ticked that box, so I want to.
I did not create rating fields. Rating fields is there by default. I created a new field called restrictive pick list. Okay, I did not create rating field, and the field I created was, let me look for it. Just 1 minute.
You're looking for rating.
Is it not rating? I created a new field called restrictive pick list. Did I even create it?
You didn't save it.
Okay, I did not save it. I just showed you how to create. Us. Yes. So
you are creating it inside rating. Actually.
No. Did I? No, I don't think so.
You didn't create it, but you took the action inside rating because rating is a pick list data type. You are trying to show us, yes, on the code. Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that. It's not even active. Okay.
Yeah, you didn't save it, yes.
Yeah, it's not even active. Okay. So restricted means it's going to reject that row if it's not present in the pick list. But if it's not restricted, it's going to open it up, it's going to accept it. Okay.
Okay, yeah. My second question is when you created the first CSV file you created, can you open it?
I've created a lot of CSV file. What would you like to find out? The very
first one that you just put annual revenue as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the last one, but it didn't reflect in the update. It didn't reflect in the account exactly. Oh, they are this. Oh, okay. Sorry, I was mistaking the columns. All right, it's clear now. Thank you.
Yeah. Eckhart, please.
Yes, thank you very much, Babatope. Quickly, just to confirm, when you say mapping, is it that you are trying to group some headings into the already existing headers in Salesforce? Is that correct?
Yeah, so technically mapping means you have account fields right here and you have CSV header right here. So when you get a spreadsheet, chances are this might not be the exact name in your account field. You now want to map it. You want to say, what is this in Salesforce? What is this in Salesforce? That's the mapping field. That takes a bit of time, okay?
Thank you. Secondly, you said all kinds of custom objects can be uploaded. Is that correct?
Yes, you can upload all the custom objects you created, but you have limited options for the standard object. In Data Loader, you can upload into any objects.
Both standard and custom?
Yes.
So for standard, it's just the accounts and contacts, leads, solutions, campaign members that you can actually upload data to.
Yeah, anything you see here, you can upload. Again, this is Salesforce. Things can change, but right now, this is the options you have.
Okay. All right. That's it. Thanks.
Yeah. Emmanuel, please. Emmanuel, please. We have limited time. We need to go to Data Loader. So please ask your question. Otherwise, we move on. You're speaking, but I cannot hear you. Okay, try to fix your stuff while we move on, but we're going to go back to you later on, okay? Opeyemi, please.
Yeah, thank you, Babatope. So my question is, how can I identify a restrictive pick list, like by looking at it?
I think standard pick list, you don't have it as restrictive, meaning that you can upload any data into a standard field pick list, okay? But the field will not automatically appear in the front end for selection in future, okay? So for instance, you have this pick list as, prospect, customer direct, and blah, blah, blah. If you upload another field into this type, it's going to save it, which is fine, but it's not going to be available for selection for people that want to create new accounts in the front end, okay? However, for restricted pick list, you specify that, or how do you know? You know by creating it. You are the one that created it, okay? So you can see if you create a restricted pick list on an object, you'll be able to see that pick list. That is restricted, okay? But for standard, you know that you can always add new fields to that standard. That's how you know. You get to know because you created it, or you can see the characteristics of that field, okay? Restrictive pick list, and I just say this, okay? Then you can make this field restrictive pick list values and blah, 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 and you save. Duplicates are not allowed. Wow, how is that coincident? Anyways, duplicate values are not allowed, blah, blah, blah. Next, you save, okay? So now that you have this pick list, go to restrictive pick list, okay? And you can see in the description, restrictive pick list is checked, okay? That's how you know.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Adelanke, please. Adelanke, we stop, then we go back to lectures, then we'll go back to question and answer again, okay? Adelanke, please.
Okay, quick one. When I was studying about this data management today, I saw configuration parameter, and I heard you mention earlier workflow rules. Are they the same thing?
Configuration parameter, what do you mean by that? So data import, we haven't talked about workflow rules, but workflow rules are actions or automation you've put in place based on a particular criteria, just like assignment rules and the likes. Okay. Workflow rules are just things that should happen when a record is being created or updated and it matches a criteria you've specified. Do you understand? So those are automations that happen behind the scene. So configuration, I'm not too sure what you meant by that. What do you mean by configuration?
Okay, so when he was talking about what's the word? When he talked about data, just distracted now. You can go on. Sorry. Okay. Someone came in and got me distracted.
Okay, sorry about that. It's okay. Let's continue. So that's how you use the data import wizard, okay? So now let's go to data loader. Remember, data loader is used to import large volumes, more than 50K, okay? And it can only be used by a Salesforce admin. I already have my data loader downloaded, so I'm just gonna go to my applications and I'm going to look for my data loader. Okay, data loader, I open it up. And once you open data loader, this loads behind the scene and you get this. So remember what I told you about data loader. In data import wizard, you can insert, you can update, you can offset. However, in data loader, you can do more than that. You can delete, you can add, delete, you can export, and you can export all. So what is delete? What do I mean by delete? Obviously, delete means you're just deleting records in the system. That's fine. Straightforward. Add delete, you need to enable in your setup. Once you enable add delete in your setup, then this add delete will come up. Then you can add delete. Remember, add delete means this would not go into the recycle bin. Okay, whenever you delete the record, it will not go into the recycle bin. It will be automatically deleted in the system. Export, meaning that I can export data. Remember when I wanted to get the ID of a particular account records, I had to create a report that included the ID. Okay, but with data loader, all you just need to do is export, and you will be able to get all the data you specify in the columns you want to export. What's the difference between export and export all? Export will export all the data you have in the objects. Export all will export all the data you have in the object plus the data in the recycle bin. So with export all, you get to export every data in the system, including the ones in the recycle bin. Now, let's try to insert data. No, let's do updates. Okay, when you do updates, you have to log in into the data loader. How do you log in into the data loader? You will click on login and you will specify the username and the password. The username is the username in your profile. You can get there by just going to your settings and you specify the username. Or you can go to setup, you go to users, and you find the username. Okay? I copy the username and I place it there. Then I need a password. How do you get your password? You get your password by going to the user and you reset the password. Because when you come from the hands-on org, you don't get to have a password, right? You don't know your password. That's how you get your password. You click on the user and you click on reset. However, if you already have your password, you don't need to click on reset, obviously. You just need to enter the password, okay? So I will say password is, I know my password, so I can use it, okay? That's bad. I don't know my password. Okay, that's not going. Is it right? Right username. Let me see. Just give me 1 minute. Whatever the case is, I can just reset my password. Okay, forgot my password. Use my username. Okay, continue. Okay, return to login. Then I will just finish resetting my password. I'll get an email like this. Obviously, I'm using my other browser, so you probably wouldn't see the email, but this is what you would have seen in your user setup, okay? You have Just 1 minute, please. Okay, I'm just gonna use just 1 minute. Funny enough, I cannot remember my password, and this is strange. So I'm gonna use just give me 1 minute. Let me see what I can quickly do. Okay, I'm going to change this guy profile to a system admin, because only system admin can use the data loader. Okay, remember that. So this guy is Salesforce developer, and I send his reset password. Okay, reset password goes to the email, and I expect this guy to see, this is what you're going to see. Reset the password, new password, okay? Reset the password. So I've done the password reset. I go back to this user, okay? I grab the username. This is the username, okay? I grab the username. I log in. This pop-up come here. Enter the username, then enter the password I just created. Okay. And it's telling me that's verification code. Okay. Remember, once you have the verification code entered, you don't have to do that all the time. Okay. This is the code you have to enter. I enter the code and I am in business. Okay. So now it's going to tell you login successful. Once it says login successful, you click on next. Okay. Just to take a step back, I downloaded Data Loader on my computer. I open Data Loader, this screen appears, and I click on whatever action I want to do. For instance, I click on Update. Now that I click on Update, the pop-up to login appears. I entered my username and password. If you are logging in from hands-on org, you might not have your password readily available. You go to your users, and you look for the users you want to use. Make sure that the user is a system admin. Once you log in as a system admin, you will be able to use Data Loader. Now, Salesforce will ask you to select the objects. You have to select the objects which you want to update or delete, or whatever it is you want to do, okay? Sometimes you might not get to see all the objects. You can select show all Salesforce objects, and it will show you all the Salesforce objects you have in your object manager. So if you don't want to select all show up objects, you select the few objects. Then the same process, upload the CSV file. So I'm going to upload the CSV file, or I can upload. Let me see what CSV file is needed for this. So I'll just look for the first one. First one does not have ID. I think updated account as ID. So I'm going to use updated account. Okay, updated accounts. Okay, so now that I have the updated account as a CSV file, I go to next. Remember, it's going to tell you you are about to update 24 records. This operation will contain 24 records. You click on OK. Then the same process as data imports. The only difference is you have to do it yourself. If you have an existing map, you can click on existing map. If you don't have an existing map, you have to create or edit it yourself. So you have two options. The first option is you start dragging things to map into the right field, which is fine, but that could take a very long time. You also have the option to select auto map fields. So Salesforce will automatically map these fields for you. Then you can now check to make sure that this is mapped correctly. If it's not mapped correctly, you can remove it, okay? If this is not mapped correctly, you can take it off. For instance, business type, I'm just gonna take it off. then that's it, okay? But I can also bring it back, go to type and bring it back. Where's type, ST, this is type, okay? Then bring it back, okay? So now that we have that, I know this will fail. The reason why this will fail is because probably we did not have the business type, okay? But let's carry on. Maybe it's gonna put it into master, but let's carry on. Before you carry on, you have the option of saving this mapping field. So next time you want to do accounting upload or update, you have the option to just use your mapping field. But this file name will be called SDL. So always look out for that, okay? Then you say, okay. Now that you have that, you go to next and you finish. It's going to ask you this question and you said, yes, I want to proceed. It's telling you 24 errors. Can someone guess why we have 24 errors?
The business type, right?
Good. So if you look into the error message, it's going to tell you this, client owner ID value of incorrect type. So it's saying the client owner ID is incorrect. So it's looking for the ID, but you are specifying. Let's go back to the map. Okay, let's go back to update, account. I select account updated. I go to next, okay. I go to choose an existing, which is the SDL I created previously. Now, let's look at it carefully. Client owner, we're saying it's owner ID. But if it's owner ID, then it has to be ID, not name. That's what it got confused, okay? So we can now say, instead of owner ID, I can say name. Owner name, okay? Instead of owner ID. So if there is no owner name field, I can just replace this to be, remember, this is account update. Just give me 1 minute. Let me open the CSV file. Updated account, sorry. Let me open the CSV file. Okay, this is the updated account, okay? So we have client owner as this, but data loader is expecting ID and we're specifying name. So I need to look for the ID of Babatope Olajide. So I'm going to go to, remember how I showed you how to get the ID? I go to sales or whatever application. I just want to get to the front end. I type in Babatope Olajide as a user. Then I copy this ID. This is the owner ID. You can specify any owner, but for now, we need to specify the owner ID instead of the name. Okay, that's what it's telling us to do. Then I specify that. But remember, there's still business type that we haven't specified. But let's try this first. Then we fix the business type. Okay, so I'm going to export this CSV. And I'm going to say, just so I can easily identify it, owner ID. Okay, export. Now, going back to our data loader, I click on cancel. I go to back. I upload the one with the owner ID, okay? Then I click on next, 24 records, that's fine. But right now, I click on choose an existing, which is the accounting mapping SDL we created previously. But if you haven't created that, you can just create your own and auto match, then you determine what the mapping should be, okay? Cancel because I don't need it, I already auto match. Client's owner is owner ID. Now it's owner, that's fine. But I think this will still fail because we did not have the business type, but let's continue, okay? Yes, it's successful, that's good. That means business type was not mandatory for this because it's data loader, okay? view successes and see what happens. Item updated as a status, which is perfect. Okay, close. So data loader, what you can learn from data loader is, one, you need to replace owner with the ID. And obviously you need to, like, required fields are ignored. It's brute force. Like, by brute force, it means even though it's not required, it just goes through. And same with workflow triggers. So it ignores that workflow triggers, it just goes through. Okay, it's going to fire if you enable it. If you don't enable it, it wouldn't fire. Okay, that's one thing you need to know. So again, instead of generating a report, you can just export the data as well. I want to export all the data in the account object. I call it account.csv, and I click next. I say, what fields, what columns do I want to export? So I click on all those fields. And if you're very good with SQL, you don't need to select them. You can just write your query saying select ID from account object, right? Or whatever fields you want to include, name and blah, blah, blah from account object. And if you're not good with SQL, you can be very, very basic. For instance, select your field, add condition, that's it. Can you see? You select the fields you want, then you add the condition where field name equals ABC. Then add condition. You can either do it manually or you can just do the SQL if you know how to do the SQL. Okay, so if I go to my system and I would say CIBC, then I can just say from accounts where account name or client name, okay? Client name, where's the client name? The client name or the account name. So I'll just go to name. This is name, okay? When name equals, or would I say contains updated. So when name contains updated, okay, would now give me all accounts in the system that has account name that includes updated, okay? Again, you don't need to know how to do this. You can just do it based on this. You select all these fields. These are the things you're interested in. Then you put a condition. Then it will automatically generate this for you. Okay, then I click on finish. Then I say yes. Okay, so it says account country, updated, error at that, unexpected token name. So it doesn't know what name is. Just 1 minute. Unexpected token name.
Where is omitted? You deleted where?
Oh, sorry about that. So I want to export. I want to select account. Thanks for that. I go to select this, select this, select this, select this. I go to name as well, just to see the name being exported from the system. Okay, then I go to the field. The condition I want to put is name. Okay, name, condition, contains, value, updated. Okay. So I had this condition and it's good. So now I click on finish and I click on yes. And it tells you this is good. And I have extracted 5 records from the system. View the extraction and you can see everything that includes shell updated, XML updated, RBC updated, CIBC updated, and whatever updated I've created in previous times gets exported out of the system. This is how you use data loader. Remember, data loader can import, export, or manipulate up to 5 million records. Data import wizard, just 50,000 records. I know we've done a lot, but let me show you one last other ways which you can manipulate bulk records, and we'll stop for tonight. So in Salesforce, we also have what they call mass operation. So what are mass operation? Mass operations are operations that you do in bulk. You do in a large volume. For instance, I can mass delete records. I can mass delete account records. I can mass delete leads records. I can mass delete contact cases and the likes. I can also mass reassign account teams, okay? It's called client teams because we rename it, but it's account teams. I can mass reassign account teams. I can update or remove people from the account teams. I can mass reassign opportunities. And I would like you to actually practicalize this because this is an exam question. If you don't go through this, you wouldn't know what conditions you can select when you are doing mass reassignment. So please try to go through this in your spare time so you can see what conditions. I don't know why this is not going. Let me refresh. Okay, now it's going. So you select a criteria for mass reassignment, then you do the mass reassignment. Okay, so this is how you work with data. This is how you get data into the system. This is how you update data in the system. And this is how you download data. As a consultant, once you set up your Salesforce org for your clients, they will want to move their legacy data into the Salesforce. This would be your next step. Your next step would be moving data from a legacy system into the Salesforce org. And this is how you do it. Remember, the record owner ID is the user of that ID. So if you go to the user, you will see in the screen, there is ID. But the best way to do this is to go from the front end and you will see the user ID. The record owner ID is very important because the record owner ID is what you use to determine the owner of that records. So imagine you have a record in the system. Remember what visibility is all about? So this record owner is very important in Salesforce. This determines whether the person can see a record or whether the person can delete a record. So every time you upload a record into the system, always specify the record owner ID. One thing I probably did not show you is the use of the external ID. So when we are creating, let's say, a record, a field in an object, we have a field called external ID. The external ID is used to identify the primary key. Okay, this external ID is used to identify the primary key in an external system. So, for instance, if you're loading new data into Salesforce, how would you be able to map the data from a legacy system? How would you be able to identify that data in Salesforce? You use a field called external ID, and you make that field unique. If you make that field unique, then no two records would have the same ID. So if no two records have the same ID, then you'll be able to identify an external ID that is being mapped. For instance, if you have what they call account number, okay? Just account number in your external system is actually a digit, but you cannot have the same account number for a client. But in Salesforce, the account number could be something different, but you still want to retain this account number from an external ID, from an external system, a legacy system. This is when you make use of the external ID. For your project, you'll be given a task to move from one Salesforce to the other. Then you will be required to use what they call external ID. Okay, so I'm going to take a pause here. I'm going to stop for today, and I'm going to find out if you guys have any questions so I can address them. Okay, so I'm gonna go with Emmanuel. Do you have questions? Because you're unable to speak last time.
Yes. Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, Babatope. Okay, so I wanted to confirm, you said to get the Salesforce ID, you need to generate a report. That's for the data import wizard earlier on.
Yes.
Thank
You need to generate a report if you're using data import wizard, or you can just use data loader and do exports, but make sure that you include the ID of your interest object, okay? Make sure you include the ID. So if you go down, you will see ID. Yeah, so make sure you include the ID. Okay. That's where you get the Salesforce ID, okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
No worries. Rosemary, please.
Okay, thank you. When you're uploading the information in data loader, there's a part that said you're uploading to the production environment. Is there some way to ensure that whatever you're uploading doesn't go to the production environment? This applies to data import wizard. Just to be sure, like
I don't get
that. When we started the upload using the data loader, there's a part that says upload directly to production environments, like directly.
No, you are logging in. You're not uploading, you're logging in. So you have the option to log in into a sandbox environment or a production environment. But if you're using the trailhead, you should be logging in into production because your trailhead is equivalent of a production environment, okay? So you should be selecting the production. However, if you are in an enterprise environment, you will be selecting sandbox first, just to test whatever you're doing. Then after that, you will load into production after you've perfected your sandbox, okay?
Yeah, so we don't have this option for the data import wizard. We just upload directly, like it just goes straight to whatever we upload.
Yeah, because you're already logged in.
Yeah. Oh, okay. One has to be careful then.
Yeah, that's why you're an admin. And a system admin has the God power, okay? They can do and undo within the system. That's why only system admin can use the data loader, whereas others have that, okay? So you just have to be careful for anything you do when you're in production, regardless.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Olajide, please.
All right, thank you very much, Babatope. Okay, so my question is this. Let's say, I'm uploading like 5 million records. Is there any feature like a place to store, record that failed, like an exception file?
Yeah, definitely. When you're uploading record, did you not see the output? You get output, right? So this output, you can put them in a folder on your system. So you can automatically just download them into that folder and you can see it. If you're running automation, then this will be very perfect for you. But if you're doing it manually, you get to see the folder and you can just drag those files into a folder for you to review at some point. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, but it's very unusual to load 5 million records, okay? But again, I don't know where you're going to keep the CSV because even the Excel sheet can only hold about 1 million records, I think. I'm not too sure, but again, yeah.
But there are enterprises that, that deal with lots of data. So at some point, I'm thinking as an administrator, the records might become so large and you might need an exception file. So you can go back to the one
project. That would be a project. So for those kind of projects, you typically hire an integration specialist. So an integration specialist, I've done a job like that whereby we move Salesforce data outside of Salesforce into an external system. We wrote a bash script that automated the process. So an admin would not be required to load 5 million records. It's very, very unusual. As an admin, the max is probably 100,000 records, okay? you wouldn't, let me tell you, admin job is the easiest job. You just pray you get that foot in the job market as an admin, and you realize that admin, Salesforce admin have the easiest lifestyle ever, because all they will do is create profile, update a user, and update record, and maybe generate report and dashboard. That's it. But if you're a consultant, you have to do everything and you leave. But the problem is when things break, they have to call you back. So before you get your sign off, before you leave, make sure you get all the sign off and you have all those clauses in place. So they call you back and they pay you for your service and not condemn whatever you've done. Okay, you just have to be careful and make sure that you are a professional whenever you're helping people set up their Salesforce org. Okay. So I will go with Ada, please.
Okay, so my question is about the data loader. Is there a guide we can follow to install on a Mac OS? I've tried it earlier with the guide on the Salesforce platform. It didn't quite work. So I was wondering if there's something we could do.
What do you mean by a guide? When I go to Data Loader, I showed you how to download the Data Loader software, and there's also a guide that follows that. So download for Windows, Windows instructions. Download for Mac, Mac instructions. So this is the guide you need to follow for different OS version. I don't want to go through that because
Mac is not working.
What do you mean? So I click on download for Mac, and this comes up.
You have to download something. Yeah, you have to download.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's not working.
No, this is the instruction guide. Okay. Then you click on. If it's not working, you have to be tech savvy to probably find it. I just downloaded it, and it just downloaded on my computer. So
yeah, it will download. Yeah. It's to install. There's a problem. It asks to download.
But you need to follow the instructions. Like, please pay attention to these. Follow the instruction. There's extra process in place before you start running the data loader. That means you have to do this. You have to do this. I've done this stuff before. Maybe I should just do a session and record it. But again, this is no. I want you guys to do it. Please do it.
We've tried it. If you remember, okay. I asked this question privately some time ago, and you said that when we get to this point, I could raise it. I'd exhausted my options. That's why I'm raising it again.
Okay. I will uninstall my data loader.
You need to have it on your PC.
PC, Mac, it doesn't matter. It's still data loader. Okay, you have two versions, one for PC and one for Mac. So it's totally up to you, but I will try to maybe create a tutorial for this, okay? Not my priority, but I will try, okay?
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Adewale, please.
Thank you very much, Babatope. This might actually sound funny, but, I just need to ask about it. You mentioned the fact that one has to be very careful as a consultant. And the thing is, I would like to know, is there anything like an assistant consultant, like where you need to, like panel beat yourself, groom yourself to the extent that you're that confident to say you want to take up a job? Because you need to have the fear of litigation, especially in this part of the world. Like you mentioned, those clauses. How do you know what to put in the agreement? Because you just don't want to expose yourself.
Yeah, that's a good question. But to be honest with you, the best way to start as a consultant is to work with a firm that is established as a consultant. For instance, I work with Deloitte, and I know all the Deloitte guidelines and everything, and I even have a template. I even know how to do the relationship and stuff like that. Build out your consultants skills before you start creating a business and you call yourself a consultant. It doesn't work that way, okay?
Trust my starving friends. They might just want to go get those millions.
No. It doesn't work that way. You still need to have the experience. Work as a consultant. That means you have to practice under someone. Me, you, other companies are out there. My ultimate goal is to be able to get Salesforce projects and give it to you guys. That means you guys will be working as a consultant under my company, right?
No worries. When you're ready, let us know.
Okay. Hopefully we're going to be ready at some point. Okay.
Thank you, Babatope.
Let's do the skills. Yeah. So I think everyone is good. If you have a question, you can ask me. We have about 1 minute left. So please ask me your question before we round up for today. You will be doing this as a project. You will be uploading data into the system. Please do not ask me after. Ask me now, because I wouldn't want to go back to this again. Okay? Edosa.
Thank you, Babatope. There is this, when you updated there is two records you added to a record that you were updated, that you wanted to updated rather. So those two records actually updated and they weren't having ID number. Do Salesforce now create an ID number for those two records that was updated?
I selected create new or updated. Create new or updated means it's going to create a new record if the ID is not present. Okay, that's what the upsert is called. Upsert means inserting or updating. Whenever the ID is not present, it is going to create new. Whenever the ID is present, it is going to update. Okay, so upsert means insert or update. Okay, that's why we did not specify the ID and it still went through and it was successful. Okay, does that make sense? Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Next person, please. I think that's all. So remember, we have
a quick one, please. The data import wizard and the data loader, do they do exactly the same thing, or there are some features in one that the other one doesn't have?
I think I gave you at the beginning. I gave you a lot of things, right? So in terms of features, as you can see, you have delete, export all. You don't have this in data imports. Okay, so these are one of the features. Other features is you have the liberty to uncheck automatic workflow rules execution, but with data loader you don't have that privilege. You just that. Number 3, there's so many things I said. Please watch the video. I said a lot of things.
Data loader can do more than 50,000.
Yeah, so 5 million at the most.
5 million, right? You can do more than 50,000.
Okay, so you guys should watch the videos if you want to see the differences, but I explained everything at the start of the class, okay? So this is what I call becoming a Salesforce administrator, because this is what you'll be doing at work if you ever get a job. The reason why we did everything we've done is for you to get a job.
When? It can't be if. When?
I said when you get a job.
No, you said if.
Oh, sorry.
I reject it in Jesus' name.
Wow. Okay.
We reject it by fire.
I'm sorry about that, but everyone will get a job. Trust me on that. If you're like, let me tell you something, right? Everyone, because last quarter, I had what I called Salesforce gigs, and I selected a few people based on their performance to work on my projects, like real-time projects that I get paid. And everyone I selected from the group of massive people, right? They all work in the Salesforce ecosystem right now. Maybe 1 or 2 are not working in the Salesforce ecosystem, but think about it. I selected about 10 people, and they all work within the Salesforce ecosystem. And some of the last cohorts, about 25% now have Salesforce job. Out of those that did their Salesforce certification, about 50 got their certification and about 20 currently work within the Salesforce. So if you get your certification right now, before December 15, you will get a job by January. Salesforce jobs are usually a lot in January because that's when businesses plan to recruit and they will call you. There's also what they call Salesforce Recruitment Day. You have to be ready for those days. You will get a job in an open recruitment platform. Trust me, you will be fine. I have no doubts about your career if you really want to do Salesforce. It's going to be in existence for the next 15 to 20 years at least. So you're in the right place. And this training, if you want to do it from Salesforce itself, okay? If you want to do this training from Salesforce itself, you will pay $5,000. I think there is I don't know which one of them it is, but if you actually want to do it officially, it's going to cost you this. This training you're getting for free is expensive. It's expensive and they wouldn't give you anything. So what I'm giving to you is what you will pay $3,000 something for, and you're getting it free of charge. So trust me, this ecosystem is lucrative and you can get a job. You just need to follow the process. And if you're subscribers, you're more likely to get a job because you're working at an extremely under extreme condition I've given to you guys. And trust me, there's always going to be light at the end of the tunnel, especially if you're putting the effort in it. So don't be religious about, although religion help you and keeps your faith alive, but this is reality. This is reality. This is what it is. Okay? So please just follow the process and you will be okay. And obviously, add your prayer and your fasting and whatever you believe in. Add it to it. Follow the process first.
Prayer and fasting.
Okay. Take care, guys. I have to stop now. It's good chatting with you guys, and hopefully you've learned something.
I just wanted to say that I just installed the data loader and it worked.
Okay. You see,
he's ready for project.
PC or Mac. PC or Mac.
Is it a PC or Mac is going to work? Come on, there's so many resources.
Now and it works. Yeah,
there's so many resources online that will help you. You need to be like, if you're working as an admin, this place, I think there is help.salesforce.com. That's where you see a lot of your answers. It is right there online. You just need to be able to Google the keyword. Okay. Don't worry about your job market is guaranteed, but you just need to follow the process. Get your certification first. Then in January, there's jobs in Salesforce. There will be open day in Salesforce, but how would you present yourself without certification? How would they know that you know Salesforce without certification? Is by taking a certification before the time comes, okay? So I expect everyone in this room right now to be planning towards taking Salesforce certification. Next week is going to be getting certified. How do you get certified? How do you learn the tricks, the job market, and the likes? Next week, we're going to be talking about that, okay? So I think that's all from me. Take care of yourself and have a good evening. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Good night.